scary all-in, pull the boys, or he'll do like the Liberator in the main and the Widowmine drop elsewhere. So I think it really is very much, you know, how does the Protoss player hold up against that litmus test of just stress and attention? In the top left side of the map, in the blue, it's Cyan. Qualifying for big international since 2016.
In the bottom right, our red Terran player, it is Coffee. And he is obviously being, that was not the Coffee pronunciation I was going for, but okay. He really impressed me at Katowice last year, and obviously has been kind of a step up from his previous form since then, so it's been always exciting to see his games and see what kind of dangerous timings he might bring out in this one.
Yeah, I remember in the Swiss stage, one of the ones I cast with you, he did a 3 racks tank push. So 3 racks factory, no starport, no eBay, but also no stim. It was concussive and combat shields. And I was like, yeah, this is the most Coffee thing ever, you know? Like, he's like, we don't need stim. It's just marauders with concussive, marines, and tanks. And a few SCVs for repair. And he just hits so hard and fast. And that's the sort of stuff. The thing is, when his opponents scout and really adapt well, the inflexibility of his pushes really get punished. And you get to see, because like when he catches people off guard, you go, why don't people do this more? That attack was so powerful. But then you see a player expertly kind of chipping away at him with blink stalkers and interrupting his reinforcements. And you suddenly realize, like, this is so all in. If this attack doesn't hit at the timing it's meant to, if it gets delayed a little, like, everything falls apart very quickly for Coffee. So he's probably going to be leaning into that style. And so far, this looks pretty similar to how Oliveira opened on this map. So as I said, these guys share builds a bit, and often it does feel like you see echoes of each other in how they play. But he's waiting for the factory. He's not going reactor straight away. So it is a variation from how Oliveira played earlier.
Yeah, a little bit different as the factory drops in. CC in the main base. Very far back CC as well, so it doesn't even put that at the front. You mentioned earlier about these guys hiding their structures. Well, this time it's a very hidden CC in the back, so yeah, could have put that a little bit closer to the natural, so it's an easier float further down the line. As, again, the reactor, the factory coming up, CC building, people on the way, and the warp gate coming through as well.
Quite standard for Cyan so far. Cyan took down Rogue the other day in one of the weekly cups. He's had a few good victories, and I feel like Cyan's always a threat for everyone. He's not 100% consistent. I guess probably happens once you have multiple kids running around. Not as much time to practice maybe as these younger guys, but Cyan's a very busy man, and he does bring that dad energy, often super well prepared for his games when he gets the time in these regionals to really grind. 3cc opening for Coffee though, man. 3cc Cyclone, Mega Greed. This is very different to what we've seen so far today. And interestingly, because he doesn't have the money for the orbital, he's going to float it down, then make the orbital.
Yeah, a bit different against a long float, so it's a long time where, you know, you could have been just gaining orbital energy, but as you said, it hasn't quite synced up, and now the CC will land, we'll get the orbital on the way. And his first couple cyclones out to help him out throughout the early stages of this TVP, as the couple of cyclones will just split up a couple different directions.
Clearing out his side of the map, Cyan's got Phoenix opening, which is not ideal against this. Cyan loves his Stargate, which is I think why Coffee's chosen this build, because he's like, look, you're going to have 100% scouting, great harassment defense. You know what you're not going to have? An answer to a 3 command center, because Phoenix kind of suck against that. Because the 3 command center isn't looking to engage with the Protoss until you way later in the game when you've got much bigger armies, at which point the Phoenix fall off. Their utility is small-scale skirmishes, harassment defense, drop defense, picking off SCVs and mules. That's not what Coffee's going to be engaging in. He's just going to take his 3rd, make Marines, make tanks, probably make 5 barracks, and I would expect him to push much later in the game.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. Just kind of take it very chill for a while, get built up even more so, and then just go for the pushes. Especially because the Cyan numbers are rising Phoenix-wise, the Robo's coming up, so a lot of that early defense is starting to take place anyway. And obviously you do not want to waste too much, otherwise you're just going to get overwhelmed by that tech if you try and push later after losing out early. So yeah, Cyan setting up nicely again as the Robo facility finishes. We'll see if he does just drop an instant Robo Bay. He's got the money to expand to a 3rd as well, which is a fairly quick 3rd base alongside Phoenix Colossus. Not the fastest 3rd base ever, but yeah, gets that down and just going to be comfortable taking that expansion and kind of getting the economy rolling quickly.
And he's even checking the corners. He's like, dude, where's your drop? Where's your Raven? Where's the Lib? What's going on? You know, because he hasn't sent the Phoenix across. So the thing with Phoenix is if they know you're going Phoenix, they're not as powerful because then they won't drop you. You want to kind of hide the Phoenix, kill the first drop, then you can use them to scout and harass. Because Cyan held them back, he doesn't know what he's up against. He's going to find out real soon, though. Oh, good cancel.
Yeah, good cancel. It's tempting, right? When the depot's down for a moment, you think you're getting in, but no, he makes the responsible decision ahead of time.
Could pick these units up, but it's very dangerous with 2 Cyclones and a few Marines there, yeah. Does disengage. Adepts go in. Ooh, friendly tank fire maybe? A little bit of friendly tank fire. 3 SCVs, but 3 Adepts go down. Not a positive trade for Cyan. He will now get a couple of SCVs and mules, and keeps all 5 Phoenix alive. First Colossus is on the way, and he's well aware of the fact that his opponent has done a super greedy start. Coffee, only building 2 SCVs at a time right now. I expected him to be slightly more economically focused. Notice even now, no SCVs building. Kind of interesting. To me, that says he might be thinking more about doing a quicker shove rather than building up to like the big 2-2 timings that we often see off 3 command center builds.
And Phoenix going to get back into the main mineral line, get some more SCVs. And that just means that the damage is being done. Obviously, +1 combat shield done here soon from Coffee, so he'll have all the bio upgrades in a moment. If he does want to push with all of those, then there's not really anything stopping him. Unless there's something else that he's then waiting for, maybe more tanks, etc. But this would be a go time if he wants to really get super aggressive right now with the 3rd CC down and everything. Not sure if he's going to see much of a chance, especially because he's been kind of running around after these Phoenix, stimming a lot already, losing SCVs. See, obviously +1's done now. 1 more tank pops. If there ever is a time to unsiege and move, this would be it.
I mean, his worker count sucks. Coffee's got to go soon. He's starting +1 armor. His worker production's been very inconsistent. For a 3cc build, he should be way higher than this. I know he's lost a few to harassment, but 12 SCVs dying. It's kind of crazy, right? That's like kind of more than you want to be losing by this stage. And combine that with the lack of consistent SCV production, Cyan's in an amazing position. And it feels like he's going to have charge arc on 3 Colossus ready. Coffee is way behind in this game. Miles and miles behind.
Miles and miles. As you have the Marine Marauder medevac all coming through from Coffee. So just still not doing anything. I mean, if he made a push, if he got something going, but look at Cyan, he's like, okay, well, if you're not coming for me, I'm going to get Storm, I'm going to continue my upgrades, you know, I'm taking a 4th base. He just extends on a lead while Coffee is just sat at home, not really doing a bunch of anything, and by the time we end up fighting, I feel like Cyan is going to be so well set up, it's going to be very tough for Coffee to win a fight. Now, he is going to move out here with a good chunk of the bio, but he's leaving all the tanks behind, so he's not even that committed to a fight. He's just going to see if he can pull his opponent out of position and get a lucky kind of catch on a base or so.
4th Nexus is coming up. Over 70 probes now is Cyan with cannons and batteries going up all over. I do like the drop cleaning up the spotter pylons. That's a very good move, but there are Phoenix headed in that direction. They can't really fight the Marines head-to-head, but if they're loaded up in the medevac, of course, they will get shot down.
That's true. The Phoenix just chilling then, waiting to deflect that direction. Libera is on the way from Coffee. Talk about a man that is going to be fairly committed, right? You know, this is someone who is not going Armory. He is not going for a 2nd Engineer in Bay. Libera is just signify that he is going to push. He's going to siege. He might even bring some SCVs to kind of just weather the storm initially, but I mean, the fact that Storm is up is just terrible for Coffee, because this is something you're not meant to play against here, and the Storms do just go down all across everything. I mean,
what am I looking at?
It was honestly
crazy.
It was a bad fight for Cyan, though. That's the weird thing, because he got caught so off guard. The Storms were great, but that was the only good thing.
Cyan should not have been that far forward on the map. I mean, that was insane from Coffee, but it was really bad from Cyan to be that far forward on the map. And kind of confusing that he was relying on Storm Drop when he's got Phoenix, Colossus, Sentries. Like, he's got so many different things to manage. A very complicated army composition, and Cyan made things difficult for himself. And this is kind of funny. This is the 2nd time today we've seen a tank army move out where it should not be able to siege on the other side of the map, and yet it's just marched through the middle. In this case, it ran into the army. Literally 8 storms. I love how you said weather the storms, and then you're like, but he does have storms, so he's kind of screwed. And then he did weather the storms. His whole army got deep in the red. Half of it died, but he killed the Protoss units. And it's such a big problem there for Cyan, who's defending with so little now. And what a bizarre turn that was in that game. I mean, Coffee was all in. All you needed to do as Cyan was buy time, but I don't think he had that info. We did. We knew. Oh, you've just got to hang on. Whereas he thought, oh yeah, maybe he's poking out let's slow him down. Didn't expect Coffee to just walk through Psystorm like that. And honestly, if Cyan was 1 second earlier on dropping the Storms, he probably kills the entire army. He just was surprised and reacted a little slowly.
Yep, slow reaction, a little bit too far forward. Coffee just said, I'll take all of this, I do not care. And, well, now you're attacking into a ton of tanks, which do get lifted. Storm good on the Marines, although you're hitting your own Phoenix with that also. It's kind of tanks and libs versus the world right now as they get dropped back down. The Immortals were able to close the distance, but tanks are pretty powerful, and you can see that in effect right here as this Colossus does not want to get too involved. It is taking an absolute beatdown. And that means that Coffee can just continue to re-siege further and further forwards. This base is going to be in more and more trouble. And obviously reinforcements are just streaming across the map from our Terran player. So he's having more and more to, well, pretty much come to a close in this game with. As we try and build a Void Ray, a bit of just a desperation bit of anything right now from Cyan apparently. As this base will go down, he's re-expanding to the left. As you see the probes run south, that should tell you that is Coffee. So if he didn't scout it yet, he should know now. And that should just be like an unsiege and yeah, relocate around there. You can push up into the natural from that position too. As there's one Colossus and Archon, it has a bit of a dream.
The Bunker's been defending the Zealot counterattacks on the third really well as well, so Coffee really not sweating it at home. He always looks all in when he plays. I'm telling you this. This is how Coffee plays. He always looks like he's super committed to some push, but he's so good at making it work. He's so good at just making it work and finding a way through. That Void Ray is helping out here. But Cyan's already taken so much economic damage that it is a disastrous position to find himself in. And once you let those tanks across the map, man, siege tanks look like a very good map unit, sorry. And now ghosts are coming as well. So ghosts are going to, of course, counter the storm. EMP, the gateway units will be nice. That tank just refuses to go down. Finally does fall, but at massive losses to the Protoss.
Absolutely. A couple more Zealots dropping down here. We have ourselves the tanks, Marines, Marauders, all just continuing through. We're going to take down this base, and Cyan really is on his last legs right now as Coffee found a way to make it happen. EMP just finished that Colossus off a little bit sooner. That is going to be GG as Coffee takes game one. A game that was not looking good for him. It felt like he missed his timing and his opponent had all of the setup in the world. That still doesn't mean you can't be out of position, and that is where Coffee found his moment. And when he got a moment, he really did strike forward with it. So congrats to Coffee there. Gets himself game one. We'll head into game two in a moment here to see if Cyan can equalize. Or if Coffee might start to run away with this series. I mean, again, he's a dangerous player. He might not have found his timing truly kind of properly in that first game, but that doesn't stop him from finding it in the future games. So it's always, you know, every game is going to be terrifying right now for Cyan, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, he just made things so unnecessarily complicated for himself. Like, at the end of the day, he had Colossus and Storm, but for some reason he was like, no, I got Phoenix over here. And I got a Prism with Storm drops, and I got sentries in my army, and I got Storm on the ground. And his army just had no meat to it. It was like literally 3 Zealots, a Stalker, 3 Colossus, 5 High Templar, a Prism, and a Sentry or 2. And I was like, it's just like, hey, if there was even like 10 Zealots in there or something, or like, you know, just a few other units to just finish off those units when they move through Storm, that could have gone very well. And I mean, I love the Storm edition, by the way, especially against Coffee, because he's a guy who likes to hit these sharp pushes. The macro Terrans tend to like get ghosts a lot earlier, whereas he's like, no, tanks, libs, Marine Marauder, go kind of thing. Storm's really good against those guys, and especially against SCV pools. So I think it was good overall strategy, just way too far forward on the map, not watching his army, and especially in a scenario when you're being that greedy. I'm not saying, oh, make more basic units, but I'm saying if you're that high on tech units and low on basic support units, Zealots, Stalkers, Archons, and Models, make sure your army is not randomly caught on their side of the map, or you're going to be in huge trouble.
Well, we head into Dynasty. Weird map. Time for game 2. See if Cyan can pull this back. See what kind of... I mean, we mentioned, you know, if we see people taking a gold, we're probably going to see it end quickly, because it just makes this map kind of weird and much more aggressive. So we'll see who wants to do what and what the plans may be. Heading into Dynasty in a second. We're just waiting for the ref to start us off.
You know what's interesting? So you say Dynasty, you say it the American way, not Dynasty. But aren't you? Don't Brits mostly say Dynasty? Like,
yeah, probably.
I think we're too Americanized by the internet, aren't we? At this point, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't know. I probably say both, but I feel like for a map name, for some reason in my head, saying Dynasty as a name sounds worse than Dynasty.
It's ZVZ, not Z versus Z. It's
yeah.
ZVZ.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like Dynasty just comes out better when I'm casting. Maybe I don't know. It's a weird one. I didn't even really notice, to be honest.
It's the hey man, America won a cultural imperial victory a long time ago, you know, and that's it. We subconsciously speak Americans. I love it. Anyways, that was a pretty crazy start to the series there. That is not what I was kind of actually honestly thinking, oh, this is kind of unfortunate. This is terrible for Terran. But, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. And right when it's 6 a.m. and your eyes are bleary, you've been up all night, you need a nice hot pot of coffee to keep you going. In the bottom left, it's coffee.
Top right, blue Protoss play here. It is Cyan.
Gas first. Oh me, oh my. That to me, I always think of like Hellions when I see a gas first. I'm always thinking about Hellion drop, Hellion run bys, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I always, especially when it's someone like Coffee, I'm like, yeah, you want to get that factory up quickly, get some tech units out, and just send them. And, you know, Hellion run bys are more dangerous the earlier they hit as well, especially, right? Because it's really going to punish the lack of units.
Oh no, especially if they take the gold base on the outside, right, Audie? We're going to see that again?
This is the second time in day, right? Like, that would be...
if he goes for it.
Really wild. No. Apparently not. Not yet. He's just going to continue across.
Okay, he's going to go for a normie expand. Yeah, that's more Cyan style, to just kind of go for the front blue base. Don't take the crazy risk. Just chill out on it. Marine into factory. Factory starting in a minute 32 is extremely early and blocks the scout. Nicely done. Good micro on the SCV to make sure it builds from the other side as well. He scouts no gold base, and then that SCV goes to proxy to starport, getting ready for that Hellion drop that we've been expecting since the moment we saw the gas first. I mean, it doesn't have to be that technically, it could be something else, but that SCV already in a forward position, I would not be surprised if we're seeing a forward medevac.
Yeah, I could absolutely believe it. From Coffee as well, 100% a possibility, so... No doubt in that right now, as the SCV is going to see the probe just sitting there, and the probe is going to see the SCV building the command center, so we're going to get that underway. As we have our Nexus continuing through, and the CC coming up as well. Reactor building from Coffee. Get that going.
Adepts coming out for Cyan. Twilight Council does go down. And Coffee has got the double Hellions, but it does look like it's probably going to be extra barracks behind that. And to be fair... Coffee going 3 racks off a factory before starport is about the most standard thing Coffee almost always does, so wouldn't be surprised. There we go, second barracks goes down. Even Oliveira rarely opens up starport before extra barracks, but Coffee, it's almost unheard of. Hellion is going to just trade on these... Adept, sorry, will trade on the Hellions, get as much damage as it can before it goes down. Surprised he doesn't pull back to repair the Hellions. That's interesting. Coffee really prioritizing getting across the map forward. And trying to see if he can have a poke around.
Yeah, no, it's intriguing, as we do have now the attempt to dive in, but we mentioned that damage on the Hellion, and that's why it's important. Stalker even body blocks there for an extra shot before the Hellion breaks through. It just limits any potential damage. Now the Hellion gets one shot off, goes around the side, can't get back in. Boom. Twilight Council's research and blink. That is scouted at least. Now we get to the natural, though, and this is opportunity. The Stalker and the Adept on the way back, and... got to pick our targets right. We can absolutely net ourselves a good few probes here. So that's going to be 4, and the Hellions here actually will stay alive as well, so not bad.
Tanks and 3 racks pumping out of Coffee. It's his favorite setup. He gears up for those huge 2-base pushes with just an insane amount of bio tank. But Cyan has a forward pylon, maybe even getting a gateway there. And remember, blink aggression is huge on this map. There's just so many blink areas. And, you know, you're already going into that robo. You've got 3 gateways up. Like, there's a lot of things going for you, especially if you build that 4th gateway on the front. There's a lot of areas to blink in. On the other hand, Coffee's build is so rock solid against it. I feel like you can harass the gold, but you don't want to go all in. I think like light harassment with blink is great versus Coffee, but I think if you really try to win with 4-gate blink, it's a bad idea because he's just got so much more raw to tank producing by default.
Yep. Let's have Stalkers firing here. A couple of SCVs going down. Depot will take a couple more shots, is going to get killed off there. Still got that blink coming through as another Stalker just being brought in. So getting that Stalker going as well. Combat shields coming up. Concussive shells. Also, I mean, we are going to get ready to go very soon. Combat shield and concussive shells. Super aggro, yeah.
Yeah, this is that build we were talking about from the other day. So it just hits so early. Now, he'd actually pulled a few SCVs, but then he sent them back to mine. Now he's pulling them again. Okay, there we go. think he was just kind of umming and ahhing. He's only on 25 workers. This is so all in, dude. This push needs to do damage. And look at this. I almost feel like just blink across and get on top of the production.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this push is hard to deal with, but you can recall if you need to. And if you can get in here and pick off the reinforcements, that is massive.
Absolutely.
He's even going to supply block him by killing depots.
Everything about this just seems disastrous right now for Coffee. As the Hellions get in, I mean, that part is nice, but we're losing a lot of SCVs here. Now the Stalkers recall, so they want to just be back to be able to deal with the army. A couple tanks, the SCVs are already coming to the front. Now the Stalkers meet this out the front as well. Again, no stim. We lose the sentry quite quickly. This is where actually having a wall off is going to hurt, because now you can't engage through as easily. So you might need these gateways to fall before you can attack through, but that's 2/3 of your production, so it's not exactly something you just wanted to give up freely, but yeah, there's not really much choice for Cyan.
I think canceling the third and building a bunch of gateways in the main is huge, but he's just not doing it. He's building batteries, which are not good versus tank Marauder necessarily. Like, they can heal you a little bit, but you really want charge and zealots, and neither of those is coming. An immortal is being built, but he's on 1 gate production right now. I think Coffee might have him. This, like, the Stalkers probably should have stayed committed on the other side of the map, or they should have come back sooner. And oh man, we're seeing just how painful this position is for the Protoss. Battery overcharges here. The Immortal does come forward. If he can get on top of either the tanks or the Marauders, it could be big, but oh, he goes out of range. And look at the SCV repair. It's just so big, man. That is huge. He will get rid of 1 tank. If he can't get the second one, though, it's pretty much lights out, and he can't, not through the repair. Great play by Coffee. Dude, once again, Coffee looks kind of dead in the water. Like I said, he always looks so all in, and he just finds a way to make it work. Coffee is the master of these pushes, dude. He's such a sicko.
It's crazy as he actually just started catching those Stalkers on the 3rd base as well. The Natural is under some heavy fire. That's a pylon dead. That will cancel a Stalker warp in. We're going to kill off the pylons that are trying to repower these gates, as we do see the probes are going to pull. And probes actually might be a nice answer right now, just because, well, it's mostly Marauders, but there's just no support in it. If there was any other units here, maybe something would have come of that. Tank will siege. It was unsieged for a little bit. The Immortal is going to whack its way through some of these Marauders as well. The batteries are putting some healing in. And Cyan is not going to fall down dead just yet. He gets rid of the tank, and that's a huge deal. And he's going to get rid of the bunker.
He's up 15 workers, Wardy, and the 3rd base is still alive. I can't believe it. This time, we said it was all in, and I think now you really see just how all in it is. The fact that he finally managed to defend, slowly rebuilding 2 more gateways in the main, so he's back up on 3 gate plus robo production, and Coffee's on 23 workers. Oh, he's in a terrible spot, and his gold base it can't be defended. Oh no! Wow, Cyan hangs on. Dude, that first couple of fights was so bad for Cyan, but lack of stim, not as much firepower, no medevacs for the Terran healing. You know, you look at the units, and sometimes you think, oh, you calculate it based off pattern recognition, imagining there's medevacs there, because 99% of the times there is with that unit set, but in this case there isn't. And it does just hit this exhaustion point where that unit comp dies off very quickly.
Dying off very quickly as we just have this Immortal across the map is going to get the GG, and Cyan's hold is eventually there. So he makes it happen. It took a long time to defend, but you know what? A defense is a defense. You get there in the end, it does count. Incredible, actually. Bit of a crazy game is we'd get tied up 1-1. We are not going to see the 2-0 lead.
Damn, man. Cyan, a scary moment. I feel like that's just playing Coffee and TVP. Nothing comes easily. Nothing comes easily. He's going to hit you with those pushes over and over again, and they will always be a little scary to deal with. I don't think we'll see too much more of that 3 command center play. I think he did it at the start of the series. I don't think he'll do too much more of it. Next map is Crimson Court, though, and this is a map, I've got to admit, I haven't seen a lot of TVP on.
Yeah, this one I actually think it's very interesting because of where you can expand, and a lot of people seem to still have very different ideas of where to expand on this match for on this map for this matchup. So some people do like to play down the edges, and then the Terran can only really drop into that, for example. Some people do like to play the center and just hold the middle, where the Terran can kind of push forward, but you can also kind of push back quite easily as the Protoss and hold a Rich Vespine. So there's a lot of kind of play style dependent choices here. It is quite a long map because it is so narrow, it can get away with being very long, so that doesn't really bode well for Coffee, who likes to kind of push early. Anything he tries to do is going to take a few more moments to get there as well, right? So it does seem like a factor as you swap people around, as Coffee is set to Protoss. Is he going to Protoss this? Okay,
There's no way. There we go. He swaps to Terran. If he did, I would be mad. I do not want to see Coffee play PvP with Cyan. I think
No, me
Cyan
neither,
would make
mate.
him look like a small child fighting a large man.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most terrible decisions we could make. You know what? Yes, against Oliveira was acceptable. It's like, okay, sure. Against Cyan playing PvP,
Not a
into that
mirror
at all.
matchup, man.
No, no way.
I think you know, we all saw Raynor. He almost beat Dark in a bloody $10,000 grand finals. Like, come on, that was sick. But you put him in a PvP against rank 50 Protoss in the world, and it was at best 50-50 for Raynor, at best. That's just mirror matchups, right? Mirror matchups are so hard to learn the details of and just get enough thousands of games of experience in tournaments where people pull out the dirtiest, cheesiest builds. So I think off racing and non-mirror matchup, you can get quite good in, especially if you're playing against your main race, right? But doing it in the other ones is so tricky. And that is why I'm very happy to see what we're seeing here, which is, of course, Coffee playing Terran in the top right.
Bottom left, we will have ourselves the blue Protoss player, Cyan, just about holding on in that previous game. Well, we get ourselves set up. We'll see if Coffee has anything super intriguing planned. Again, to me, this is not going to be the prettiest of maps to kind of just go for a straight-up push across because of the size of it, but maybe, just maybe there's some other plans in store. I would be very surprised if Cyan took any of the forward bases. I think against Coffee, this is a scenario where you just say, okay, his playstyle is all about pushing, whether that's early, a bit later, or whatever. You know there's going to be some kind of time push coming at some point. So I think you just mine those gold minerals out for your third base in the future and kind of go over there. And, yeah, in terms of tech choice, I don't know what he'll go for, but I think that has to be the expansion pattern at the very least.
I agree. I think that's a really good point. Yeah, because Coffee's almost always going to do one of these crazy pushes. Coffee never looks like he's confident just playing Bio Ghost, you know, mine, multi-prong medevacs, macroing. You know, like how Clem plays often like the most standard TVP you've ever seen, where you're just like, he's going to take another expansion. Then he's going to make some more ghosts while dropping and harassing and poking around and adding upgrades. And like, he just kind of does everything in a very standard progression and just kind of steadily looks for good fights and advantages. Coffee is like the complete polar opposite, where he's like, here's my plan. Here's a really sharp attack that you're not going to see coming. It's going to hit like a brick, but if you defend it, I'm kind of dead. That's most of his games.
Mm-hmm. It's, I'm kind of mesmerized to see what Coffee does to like be dead this game and then kind of be like, oh, but actually here's my timing that can't be killed. Because that has been the kind of way of it so far. This Reaper heading down to the bottom left-hand side. As we just have the factory building in the main base, the barracks still coming through. And, yeah, Reaper will show up to get a bit of scouting done. We're waiting to see the tech choice still from Cyan, so a moment or two we should see that, and that's exactly what the Reaper would love to find out a bit about as well.
Twilight Council does go down. Oh, Reaper does a little cheeky boy maneuver. Gets to see the Twilight straight away. Nicely done. Good micro by Coffee. He's getting a bunker at home, though, so he's playing a bit more of like a standard one racks expand, a bit safer, second gas factory. I was saying Coffee doesn't play standard very much. This is the most standard setup we've basically seen out of him so far today. So we might, you know, Reaper opening rather than Marine, Hellion for extra follow-up scouting, Starport going down before second and third barracks. Heresy. Coffee is almost always about the quick second and third barracks, but I love that he's mixing it up. It's a best of 5. You have to show this range as a player, and I love it. I think, you know, being able to do many different things makes you a much more fearsome opponent. StarCraft's such an execution-focused game. We're always tempted as players to be like, nah, I'm just going to do the thing I've done 20,000 times because I do it best. But then your opponents can hard counter you. You know, they can prepare for everything. You have to strike a balance between doing your best executed strategies and doing ones that can surprise and catch your opponent off guard.
Reaper Hellion trying to move through, and the Hellion is going to get into that mineral line. Stalker and Adept will kill it off quickly. The Reaper should net one more probe kill here, and then try and get out. Twilight Council scene and everything, so we know what's up, and the Reaper's actually out alive.
Not bad. Very nice. Oh, could have cancelled that shade and got it, actually.
Nally.
Oh, interference matrix. Hello.
Okay.
We don't see this very much these days. That is super rare.
Yeah, sometimes you see a Raven is just, you know, not for the Matrix, but for like some auto turret harass and so on. An actual Matrixing Raven has me very intrigued because, like you say, it's just not really a common occurrence anymore.
Yeah,
People just seem to
like
not really like it. It just doesn't do much.
I feel like Maru had a build where he goes double Raven and like really relies on just locking down the Colossus, but I always felt like it's so hard even for him to pull off.
Yeah. The thing is, I feel like so often you see the Matrix on a Colossus and the Protoss just sort of backs up for like 2 seconds and then they re-engage and it's like, okay, the Colossus will still come online in time because the investment into that Raven's fairly big anyways, so... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, yeah, there's the Terran often is like, I'm gonna drop my matrices and just stim and run past everything, right? And just click on your stuff. Like, and if they get you a bit out of position, yeah, it's like, oh, well, that's brutal and one-sided. And then there's other times where, as you said, you just kind of pull back a little bit and create enough space and you're kind of totally fine. So we'll see which scenario it is. Blink is done. There is only 2 gate though. 2 gate Blink Robo third is probably the one that's most vulnerable to this interference matrix. And we are now seeing the 3 barracks get onto the tech labs, the reactors, and we should be seeing a reactor on the starport soon so that he can get the double medevacs. The Reaper sees the 3rd base about to finish, does get taken out by the sentries and the stalkers. Cyan's, I think, doing a very nice mix here. You know, you got 3 observers out, which is way more than a lot of the younger Protosses go for. Great map vision with that, really important on Crimson Court. You've got your first Colossus on the way, a couple sentries gathering energy, so you will have some force fields, which is a big part of stopping the Raven, right? If they cast the spells, you force field to buy time so they can't stim on top of your army, and then you kind of use that to pull back. So I think this is a very well balanced force for Cyan as he goes into 5 gates. The only thing that I'd criticize is there is no charge just yet. And I always felt like one of the best things the Protoss players like Astraea and these sort of guys who really love the 2 gate, you know, Blink Robo into 3rd base is a quick charge makes a world of difference. And he actually starts it and cancels it there. That's interesting. Okay, 2nd Colossus was his priority, and now he'll start charge as he gets the money for it in a moment.
Yeah, just changing the ordering here and just again his priorities. Make sure you do go back and start it though, as he does it there with Chrono Boost as well. Try and make up for some lost time. That's coffee time though. Yeah, his stim pack, it is +1, and we are moving across the map with that Raven with Matrix available. So again, you can lock down that first Colossus. You can try and take the splash away. And, well, push we go. There's only really one direction to push in here, and straight down.
Cyan's overprobed a bit. He's on 66 against a 48 SCV Terran who's going to 5 barracks. I mean, this is as all in as it gets, and Cyan has just been way too greedy. Those force fields I was talking about, trying to buy time. And it looks like they do just that. There's still 1 Matrix left, though, and he's got to slow those tanks down, dude. He's got to move forward again to slow this down. The SCVs are out front. Oh. Watch out, Coffee. Those SCVs do not want to run into Colossus, the laser beams.
Yeah, you kind of want to wait a little bit. There's the Matrix. Super Battery will pop up. And man, we have so much DPS available from the bio. We don't quite finish the Colossus. However, we do get rid of the Super Battery. And the tanks are going big on the Stalkers. Another tank going to show up. One of the Colossus being so low. It ties to SCVs! You're kidding me! The SCV kill.
The Drilly Boy. Oh, damn. Drilly Boys strong together, man. Taking down the man. Oh, my lord. Didn't realize that was a Robin Hood Colossus right there. Holy crud. Marauder tank sieged on the Nexus. Cyan massively overprobed this game. Way too greedy against a guy that loves his 2 base all-ins. Cyan going to 68 probes here. He's going to still maybe clear it with the Zealots, though. If he can clear those tanks, that'd be big. The Zealots are doing great. The Stalker's actually doing amazing. The Colossus tanks a lot of tank shots, and he's got it. Cyan's got it. Extreme greed gets rewarded. The Stalker Zealot able to overwhelm. It's not over just yet because his supply is so low, and he lost all of his Robo, though. He's got to pull back.
Yeah, that's not a position of fighting with those few Zealots. You're going to need as many Zealots as you can get to help you tank, and no Robo means you can't really rebuild the tech units, but this is a low HP army from the Terran player with not really much medevac energy left, but you're getting overrun a little bit here. Cyan did not really need to go that far forward, and he ends up getting punished for the move.
Oh, he lost his Robo. I mean, to be fair, all he has to do is survive. All he has to do is survive. I forgot the Robo went down there in the natural, and that is a bit scary. He's trying to build a forge. You do not need a forge, mate. It's a 26 SCV, Coffee. You just got to survive, and that'll help. Oh, he doesn't watch, though. He wasn't watching, so he doesn't blink on it. Still good to push back the medevac and damage it, of course. Not to mention baiting out the stim. Coffee doesn't have a large amount of medevac energy, so every stim is actually very painful for him. First new Colossus is rebuilding. There's 2 sentries, a few zealots, and 6 stalkers. There's only 7 gateways right now for Cyan as well, so he really desperately needs more zealots. This is still a very close game. I like the zealot counterattack. If he can intercept the reinforcements and buy time, that'll be huge.
2 force fields going down, zealots coming in from all sides. We are going to have ourselves this one tank firing away on the stalkers. We finally started getting reach to knock down the tank, but man, there's just too much bio here. So it will come through, it will knock that down. We're going to go after the pylon at the front.
That robo's only powered. Oh, the battery goes down, and that Colossus, if it doesn't get out, he's screwed. If he gets the Colossus out, he's got a chance. He's got a chance if the Colossus pops and survives, but he doesn't have much support for it. It pops out seconds before the robo goes down and instantly dies itself. Coffee, once again, he looks so desperately all in. Like, this move absolutely has to kill his opponent. But you know what? It hits like a brick, I'm telling you. You might think, oh, he does it every game, but he has different timings every game. They're all subtly different, they hit in different ways, and it is so hard to know which one is coming. Of course, Cyan did overprobe this game. He played a bit too greedy, but Coffee, he finds his opponents napping all the time. It is his specialty. He lulls them to sleep and always surprises with the ferocity of these attacks.
GG. Coffee is going to take it to a 2-1 lead. The ferocious Terran here is going to put himself into match point. And again, this is an elimination matchup. It's crazy to say because we just expect these two to not get eliminated on the first possible chance in the playoffs. But that's what the results have led us to so far. As Coffee is going to be up 2-1 with Cyan kind of, well, sitting on the edge of doom. Because this is no second chances anymore. And he's now got 1 map to try and save himself.
Man, you know, it's kind of tragic that the SCV killed that Colossus because that was kind of set up by, I'm not sure if you noticed or the people watching noticed, I noticed it just for a second. When the Colossus were trying to pull back, there was a gap between the battery and like the gateway or the robo or whatever. And the 2 Colossus were butting into each other. You know, when they both get stuck on each other trying to move through a choke, and they kind of derped for like a full second or so, which it's a lot of time in a fight like that. And that was when the Colossus got so focused by the Marauders deep into the red, whereas I think otherwise it would have had a bit more hit points, and we saw how close that game was. A few more Colossus swipes could have been a real game changer. That being said, Cyan was probing insanely hard in that game, going up to almost 70 probes. It's good he was only on 4 gases, but that was, yeah, there's greed, and then there's kind of what he got up to in that one.
Well, it is time for game number 4, and Coffee is the one on match point. Can Cyan tie it up a second time? I mean, it's Golden Aura. It's another map where I don't really expect there to be like as good of a push. It's big, right? But Coffee has these builds where he can just figure out different ways to, like you say, end up needlessly all in and then just about make it work. So let's see what he has planned for Golden Aura. Actually, wouldn't mind him going back to like the 3 racks before starport thing here, because I feel like a little bit more kind of biocentric, bit more speed onto the map quickly can be maybe the way to kind of play Golden Aura, with a lot of kind of distance to cover rather than just being fully teched. But we'll see. We're heading into this right now as we get Coffee Cyan, game number 4 underway.
Heck yeah, getting into it. I would also love to see some Phoenix Colossus. I think, Phoenix Charge Lot or something like that. I think especially against a guy like Coffee, there's some potential. We'll see what our Blue Protoss brings out. He's got to win this game and the next. It is Cyan. Losers bracket as well. So remember, whoever loses this match is gone from the tournament.
Yep, huge deal. And if you win this, you get to stay in it. It is the Red Terran in the bottom right, Coffee.
I feel like by default, you should be erring on the side of stopping at about 55 workers against Coffee, rather than 70. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, looking at how Coffee plays this matchup, and I've cast a lot of Coffee games, there's got to be a general rule of like 60 probes max until you know exactly what he's doing, because even if he doesn't SCV pull, like, he's almost always hitting you with a crazy attack. And I think Cyan's got way better long game. I don't think Coffee can honestly really compete in a standard game because he's just so specialized of a player, whereas Cyan loves macro games. So I'd like to see just a little bit more insurance. He had 3 observers out in that game. He saw everything he really should have been more prepared. So definitely I think that the fault's on him for not being ready in that scenario. Hats off to Coffee though for even, I mean, this could easily have been a 3-0, I feel like, with how these games have gone, right? Even the 2 wins Coffee got were at knife's edge. They were so close.
Oh yeah, no, it was a really scary game number 2. It really could have, like you say, just ended already by now, so oh, good thing that
to be fair though, I guess Cyan kind of looked dead in game 1 as well, right? So it goes both ways.
That's true. Let's just have early reactor coming in, so again, getting set up to that nice and quickly. ASAP, get that rolling.
Yeah, I mean, technically he doesn't see the command center, so like there is like maybe he thinks something weird's happening. He didn't see the second gas either, the lack of second gas, I should say. But there we go, reactor into factory, so it's going to be a bit more optimized. This one does look like probably a 3-racks build. Usually off these sort of marine openings where he skips the Reaper, it's okay, I skipped the Reaper, I don't care about scouting because I have a timing attack that's decided before the game started. Same thing that Oliveira was doing earlier today in a lot of his TVPs. It's like, why would I scout if I'm just going to do the same build versus whatever you're doing anyway, right? Like, there's no need for a Reaper scout. We just want more Marines earlier, faster factory, and usually we'll see that second and third barracks in the follow-up to get, you know, stim, shields, that sort of stuff. I doubt he'll do the concussive shell build again from Dynasty. That build has actually lost the 2 times I've seen it in this tournament for Coffee. It's always looked very close, but it always just like hits a point where it just falls off and suddenly the whole army disappears and crumbles because there's no medevac healing. So I don't think he'll do that again. And in fact, he is going starport once more. So it's going to be going for a more classic, looks like a mine drop.
Depth shaving through, and yeah, this could be the most standard sort of setup from Coffee so far. We'll see, of course, what the next step is. This is still just an opener. It can lead into so many things. Cyan playing the Blink and 2 more gateways, so we'll have a good amount of stalkers on the map. Not as committed as it could be with 4 gates, but obviously not a super fast third base either, so being a little bit respectful of the fact that, hey, I'm playing against Coffee, maybe don't want to go overly greedy on taking my third.
So this is interesting because the Robo is very late this game, 3:45. But there's a safety battery up, so it feels like there's massive respect right now from Cyan. Really kind of being worried about some sort of weird frontal push, and he's playing super duper safe. It's a good idea when you're on match point. I think he's expecting a super fast tank push, which is why he's like, I need 3 gate and a battery before I even think about a third or a robo. Problem is, if you don't have the robo, you don't have an observer for scouting, and Marine does run in and die, sees the battery, sees the robo timing, but that mine drop heading towards the main. We'll find 3 stalkers nearby ready to greet it.
Well, Blink is going to be finished very soon with the Chrono Boost on. It's going to be very shortly, and you got to be careful not to go too deep with this medevac too soon. Lose the medevac too quickly, and this entire drop could be not so worthwhile. Extra stalkers warping because the Wooden Mine drop is just chilling. Hallucination to scout. Is going to see the Untech Lab starport, so it gives you a bit of information about what can be building there. So it's a bit of a guess that you can put together now as Cyan.
You just need a battery on your third and pump unit, so you know what's happening right now. Same build Oliveira did 2 or 3 times earlier today. It's a lib plus a mine drop plus a bunch of marine tank pushing the front. You need to get 5-6 stalkers on the front to wear down the army while keeping a few units at home and moving your probes away from the mine drop. It is the multitasking skill tester for Protoss that Terran loves to throw their way. Say, we're going to hit you in 3 places at once. Have fun dealing with this. It's going to move out right now. There's a few stalkers coming forward, but he's got to micro this very well. This is a really hard moment for Cyan.
Yep, he gets a couple of units. He blinks away. He's going to start up the Immortal of that Robo facility now as we kind of spread out here to try and catch, but he's honestly just taking a lot of damage. He's, going to have the mine drop as well. We do go for 2 probes, but splash on those stalkers. Unburrow, reburrow, the stalkers will start a fire as the probe will actually take a shot. Another bit of splash on the stalkers. The medevac gets away. The Liberator sets up. Probes begin to fall. The stalkers blink into the lib. They're actually going to get shot down more easily because of the fact we took damage off the mines. Super battery goes down in the third base already. Tanks will target stalkers. Probes pull into a disaster. And Coffee is just winning out. The Liberator won the fight. And it's all because Cyan took splash damage off the Widow mines there.
Oh, that's huge. That is so huge. That's such a good point, Wardy. The splash there is massive, isn't it? That is so massive. And Cyan ends up taking big damage. He played really cautious against a super early push. and then takes his third slightly later, and he actually ends up worse off against it than he potentially would have with the 2-gate opening. He's going to push forward and clear the tanks now, but not until he's taken massive, massive damage. A few more Stalkers will go down here. If you can save those 2 Stalkers, that'd be big. The SCVs will at least die. If you can drop a 3rd Nexus, maybe there's a chance of rebuilding. But that is, of course, a massive amount of damage. And you know what? It's not as all in as setup this time. Stim, shields, +1 attacks on the way. The first 2 medevacs will start up soon. Coffee is going to build a 4th and 5th racks. He says, I'm already ahead. Let's try and win the game with a giant bio medevac push. And that's the right way to do it. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of right ways to do it right now, but anything that's decisive and committed one way or the other should do the trick. Cyan is deep down the well. And honestly, I'm thinking about what he could do to bring it back. Maybe something like a Robo-Bane and 2 Disruptors. You know, look for the Hail Mary shot. Doing it with raw gateway units is going to be a long shot.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult as, especially once the bio upgrades have kicked in, right? This bio force is going to be able to trade so well with any gateway units, so it feels tough. And also when you play gateway heavy, you're kind of typically meant to be on that 3rd base. You have the better economy, so you can afford to kind of throw a lot of units at your opponents. And that's the issue. Like, gateway units work with high numbers, and this is not high numbers. And the SCV pool, I actually love it because he's far enough ahead that the SCV pool can be completely game-ending rather than just like a push that maybe gets held off. I think here the SCVs are going to actually have a big role to play. There's a Prism in the main base of Coffee, but I don't think he cares. He's going to commit across the map. Single Zealot warp in. That's the saddest little counter-harassment of all time.
That is a confidence move right there. You know, the battle lines are drawn, military tanks, and a single man with 2 knives walks towards your front lines slowly. And that's some real scary stuff right there. Sentries and Immortals and Zealots trying to hold the line. The Zealots actually do amazingly well there. The Immortals with the battery overcharge are even going to kill some tanks. I am amazed at how well Cyan is killing anything with how outnumbered he is. But of course, the moment that front line's gone, the Marine Marauder is going to have a party all over his base and stomp on his face. Dude, Coffee. I felt like the start of this series did not look great for Coffee, and then he made that game 1 so nail-bitingly close, and then I was like, oh, okay, maybe we have a series.